So I want to talk a little about community. I'm going to start with what probably seemed like a pretty boring story, probably. But bear with me and you'll see how this filters through to where we find ourselves, that I put it to you, is without a community and a bunch of individuals. So I was installing Windows at one of the jobs I'm doing, and I had the laser level set up, and I was marking all of my data points, and the supervisor rocked up, and in his perception, bear in mind he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, in his perception I was taking too much time. I'm doing this on a price, mind you. I'm doing this at my own expense. Getting the window heights so the top's all lined up exactly. He said, oh yeah, most guys just chuck a bit of masonite under it and, should be right. And I know this guy's... I'm not going to enlighten this guy. But... yeah, for whatever reason, I decided to try and explain a bit. I was pretty annoyed, and it occurred to me at the time that this is a symptom of exactly how fucked up we've become when nobody cares about the person following. So I explained to him, this is a house, this is a brick house, yes? So if the windows are all up and down by 10-20 millimeters, then you're going to have gaps on some windows, or the bricklayer is going to try to, if he tries to correct it to get the house to look right, he's going to have to change every single course of brick to flow and meet with the windows. So I said, I'm taking 10 minutes because I'm thinking about the next guy. So he rocks up and he can just set his profiles up at the height that I set the top of the windows up, and just do the job, and he has a good run. Or if I do it the half-assed way, if I go, I'm not going to give 10 minutes to save the next guy hours, then yeah, like a stone thrown in a pond, the ripples from that feed into everything. So let's say I just did the half-assed way, chuck the windows in any old how, they're all up and down a bit, and the bricklayer, either if he doesn't care, well then the house just ends up being shitter than it had to be, and the client is unnecessarily wrong. They haven't got what they paid for. Or he gets annoyed because he has to do all this work to get the job to be right that he's not getting paid for, and then maybe he doesn't clean up properly after himself. Maybe he yells at his labourer because he's frustrated because he's not having a good run at it, because he's doing a bad job through no fault of his own. And then the site's messier, so then when the plumber arrives, there's stuff in his way. And this just snowballs on and on for every trade. Because, yeah, that's why we're in this predicament. Everybody's just thinking of themselves. And I'm not saying you should be a martyr, but yeah, a people have a right to self-determination. A people may have sovereignty. A people look after each other, have each other's backs. But what we have now is no one has faith that someone has their back. So we all just look after ourselves and fuck the next guy, and just because I can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. But I posit that sort of a story is what's behind, more or less, behind everything that we see before us now. We have no community. Everybody, yeah, I'm not sure if this is what Steve means by public trust. That's a good segue into things that aren't understood, aren't comprehended. But in the same way, the same problem, this problem of self-interest, rather than seeing that we are connected. If a community is strong, then I'm strong. If a community is safe, then I'm safe. If a community's anxious, violent, then I'm not safe. So, yeah, I'll pause and we'll watch a little video and you'll see a good friend of mine.
Police officers in Coffs Harbour have smashed a woman's car window. Have a look at this. They dragged her out of the vehicle after she refused to comply with an officer's request. The woman and her male passenger argued they were not in the officer's jurisdiction and were not driving, but rather travelling in the area.
You guys don't even know what yous are on about.
I need your most senior on duty.
You don't know. You don't have any jurisdiction on this land. Look out!
You're under arrest.
You're a creek.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I would love to just get you one-on-one.
Okay, so New South Wales Police say the 52-year-old woman allegedly had 2 outstanding arrest warrants. She was charged with refusing to provide officers with her details and refusing to undergo a breath test, plus other charges. For more, I'm joined by a former New South Wales magistrate and Dean of Law at Southern Cross University, David Halpern. David, good morning to you. You've dealt with a lot of these kinds of people before the courts before. They're called sovereign citizens. What's their belief?
Look, their core belief were established in that video, that they are sovereign citizens, that they're not subject to the laws that the rest of us are subject to, that the Queen's not the Queen, that police aren't really legitimate police and that courts aren't legitimate courts, and that somehow by way of a contract or otherwise they have separated themselves completely from the laws of the land.
It's concerning, isn't it? It's believed the killers who shot dead 2 police officers and a civilian last month in regional Queensland frequented conspiracy websites and also had this sovereign citizen view. Do you think there's been an increase in this kind of thinking? And how dangerous can it be?
But there's a spectrum. At one end, there's those who just want to challenge the law and raise old common law doctrines and issues, and that's a positive thing. I think challenging the law is important and sensible, and it's how laws change. But at the other end of the spectrum is the hardcore believers in sovereign citizenship or pseudo-law, where they don't see themselves at all as bound by the law. They see the law as having absolutely no authority. And the hard edge is a dangerous edge. The Oklahoma bomber was a straw man sovereign citizen in the United States. There have been people charged, I know, in various rural areas of New South Wales with a variety of serious threatening and offences, and are in jail now for the threats that sometimes accompany this. And in that video, I think we saw it pretty clearly that the police officer said quite a few times, I want your licence, I'll break the window if you don't, and there it goes.
It seems obvious, doesn't it, why she wanted to stay in the car. Has there been any success of these so-called sovereign citizens fighting their claims in court?
Well, despite what the websites say and despite what some people who follow this pseudo-law sovereign citizenship say, there has not been a single successful case in any jurisdiction throughout Australia. It's obvious when you think about it for a second that you can't just remove yourself from the law by some sort of putting your names in capital or declaring yourself a sovereign citizen. It just simply is, it's gobbledygook. And the courts have treated it as such time after time. But it doesn't stop the adherents, particularly in traffic matters, from making these pretty bizarre claims.
Well, nice to know it hasn't been successful so far. David, thanks for joining us.
So there's a lot of interesting nuggets to pull out of that one. Yeah, let's talk to a lawman at random. Oh, why? It's Professor Jailterm. Oh. Who would have thunk it? Are there any other magistrates around? Anybody? Or just this guy? Yeah, we see what you're trying to do. Sovereign citizen. Blah, blah, blah. Putting the names in all caps so that yeah, you see how they flip it, but yeah, speaking seriously for a moment, the United Kingdom of Australia does not condone the kind of behaviour that you see from these two dills in this video. Has no connection with them. People, yeah, as much as the propaganda machine is working this narrative of online conspiracy theories and sovereign citizen movements, it's a partial truth, because there are people, there are actually dangerous people who get a little bit of knowledge and then proceed to inform others from that little bit of knowledge. But just in and the most basic, everyday, common sense perspective, you're gonna tell guys with badge and body armor and guns who believe they have jurisdiction that they don't have jurisdiction. Would you do that in Nazi Germany? Excuse me, officer, you don't have jurisdiction. You don't have jurisdiction. What if they just shoot you? What theatre are we in? And yeah, this gets me to the last topic. And all of these things are related, of course. So Stephen Spires, the man that everybody takes the work from and tries to profit from it, or make it their own, because they have a personality clash with him, or because they just, driven by ego, they want to be the one that saves the day, deals in facts, has built a case based on facts. And I posted a video earlier today that he recorded, a letter he published and recorded August 2021, where he lays this out very, very clearly for us. The police are UN peacekeepers. It's on our coins. 75 years of peacekeeping. They do tell us. So, yeah. Together we stand, divided we fall. But Stephen uploaded a video to YouTube yesterday, and I guess he said a bit too much truth, I guess, about the thing we all know what it is, but you're not allowed to talk about on YouTube because, you know, here we are. But what's interesting is you then reposted it on John Kay YouTube channel, and the same video is still up there. Yet Stephen gets banned for 3 months, I think, for a first strike. What theatre are we in? So if somebody seems to be everywhere speaking, saying that they're shadow banned, like Stephen Crowder, for example, saying YouTube strangles him. Yeah, it's really not true. It's just, this is one side of the theatre. That people have to have the perception out there that they are fighting the good fight. But when you scratch the surface, they're not really fighting anything. And Stephen isn't really fighting anything. He's establishing a case at law. He's established at great personal expense and supported by folks like you are, particularly at their great personal expense, to establish standing. And then we see these tards. Oh, my fine. I don't want to pay. You've got no jurisdiction, so therefore Yeah. We have no community. Because what is your fine in the scheme of things? We've all got fines. We've all been financially burdened by the administration. But our way out of this isn't through Tanty at the Peacekeepers, and it's not through listening to common law know-it-alls that proceed to give you advice without risking anything themselves. Think about that. Why is it that so many people make a disclaimer at the start of their video that this isn't legal advice? Yeah, community skin in the game. So we'll either walk out of this with grace, or we'll spaz our way into WEF slavery. The choice is ours. Listen to Stephen. Put your ego aside. It's okay. I'm a tard too. It's serious shit.